Okay, let's get straight to the point. Let's talk about this sad breaking news coming out of New York. This right here is Adrian Jones McAllister, and this is her husband, Keith McAllister. Now, on July the 16th, Keith McAllister, just a regular everyday guy working to make a living and loving his wife, and just doing normal day activities. On July the 16th, Keith McAllister would accompany his wife to her doctor visit to go get an MRI at this facility right here, NASA Open MRI in Westbury, New York. And that is up there by the Long Island, New York area, up there around that area. Now, this day would turn out to be a very bad day for Keith and his wife. Now, during the MRI process, don't know how everything happened, but something must have happened with the wife in the room, in the MRI room, and she basically was calling for Keith. And Keith went in there, and Keith eventually ended up getting sucked into the MRI machine, which is a machine that can do like magnetic testing. Now, from him being sucked into that machine, he was in critical condition, and it already has people talking online, but I'm just going to show you one comment. Somebody said the wife should sue because it's the technician's responsibility to tell whomever goes into that room to take metal off before they go in. It's not the patient or the family's responsibility to know how an MRI machine operates. Because Keith, it was said that Keith had on a big old necklace. But don't know how this whole lawsuit thing is going to work out, because according to the facility and reports already coming out, if Keith took it upon himself to go in there without permission and just rushed in. Y'all listen to this report. Let's go.
A freak MRI accident has left a 61-year-old in critical condition. Nassau County Police say a Long Island man walked into an unauthorized area during a scan here at Nassau Open MRI in Westbury. And he was wearing a large metal chain necklace and was drawn magnetically into the machine. Experts say something like this shouldn't have happened. Strict and rigid safety protocols need to be in place to make sure no metal gets near an MRI machine. Police are still investigating, but do say they do not suspect any criminality. The facility had no comment.
The victim, say police, was sucked into an MRI machine when he entered a scanning room without authority. He heard his relatives screaming and was concerned, a witness told police, when the man allegedly defied orders to stay out. He was wearing a metallic necklace, is now in critical condition. The crisis took place inside this medical building on Old Country Road in Westbury, Nassau Open MRI, which has multiple locations in the New York area. The center declined our request for comment at this time. Experts say injuries and deaths tied to MRI machines are rare when magnets pull an object from inside a room.
Liquid helium and liquid nitrogen that creates that magnetic field once an electrical current is introduced into it.
Why patients must remove all metal and electronic objects before a scan. On Long Island, Jennifer McLogan, CBS News, New York.
Now, this right here is just a whole messed up situation. This story is already going viral, the videos and stuff all over the internet. And like I say, they said that Keith had on a big necklace, and that's how he got sucked into the machine, because it's an MRI. But you heard them say that the wife was, calling for, I guess he wasn't there to go help his wife out. And that's his wife. But how did the breakdown of communication or things been explained about what you can and cannot do when you talk about going to an MRI machine testing facility? Now, I don't know if somebody was on standby or what was going on and how they did not see him go in there. But this right here is just a whole mess up situation. Because what eventually ended up happening, even though he was in critical condition, well, sadly, Keith McAllister lost his life. And now you have a wife who, July the 16th, her husband took her to go get an MRI, and she left out alone. Y'all check out this report. Let's go.
I saw the machine, snatched him around and pulled him into the machine. He died. He went limp in my arms.
Adrian Jones McAllister says her husband, Keith McAllister, died after he was sucked into an MRI machine at Nassau Open MRI in Westbury.
I haven't been able to sleep. I'm barely eating. I just can't believe. I still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing. He waved goodbye to me, and then his whole body went limp.
Adrian said after she'd had an MRI on her knee Wednesday, she needed help getting up. She said she asked the technician to get her husband.
And I yelled out Keith's name, Keith, come help me up, come help me up.
She said the technician went to get her husband and brought him into the room, despite the fact that Keith was wearing a 20-pound chain around his neck with a large lock that he used for weight training.
They were standing there laughing and joking before he even came to the table.
When Keith got closer to Adrian to help her up, she said the unthinkable happened.
At that instant, the machine switched him around, pulled him in, and he hit the MRI.
Adrian says she and the tech tried to pry Keith off the machine, but it was impossible.
I was like, could you turn up the machine, call 911, do something, turn this damn thing off?
Adrian said that this was not the first time she and Keith had been to Nassau Open MRI, and she said he'd worn the big chain here before.
It's not the first time that guy has seen that chain. They had a conversation about it before. Ooh, that's a big chain.
Adrian said Keith, a hardworking man who always gave his all, suffered several heart attacks following the incident. He was 61 years old.
And I loved him so much.
2:24 in the morning, and we still working. Let me go down here and show you what we're doing. My woman thinks I don't work. I don't do nothing but bullshit all fucking day. Give you an idea of how long this motherfucker keeps me. Look at this shit. This shit is still up to almost. It takes a while to do all this shit. This shit is crazy. Well, there it is.
Now, I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but just in my opinion, personally, for me, myself, I wouldn't be going into this building to get anything related for medical care, nothing, especially no MRI, none of that. This looked like a grocery store, and this is in New York, so this really looked like a bodega or something. It just don't, just from the outside looking at this picture, this don't look like something I would like to pull up to and go in there for some medical visit or whatever. It's just to me, just me. It just don't give me doctor vibes going on up in here. But like I said, this situation is sad. It's really sad because you now have his wife. You can tell that she is going through it. She's going through it. Who imagined to go to a visit, to go get an MRI, and I don't know what happened in there that made her scream for him to come in and help. Now that's the only thing about her doing that interview that, I wish she could have had someone there to watch what she say. Because if we're referring to her eventually trying to do a lawsuit, that clip of her saying that she screamed and told Keith to come in there is going to be very pivotal when you're talking about trying to prove a case. Because even though the facility technicians and everyone involved, should have had some kind of barrier in place for him not to be able to get in, but we passed that now because he got in. How? That's the question that needs answered. But it's still, don't look good for her to say that she was the one who called him in there. So I don't know if he was at a glass, he was close by the door, but clearly he heard her, and that's his wife. So if his wife is screaming and calling and pleading for him to help, despite of his signs up there saying, do not enter, take off your jewelry, all that kind of stuff, in that moment, I'm sure he is not thinking about none of that. He's just thinking about trying to go help his wife get up off the floor, whatever. He's just trying to go help his wife. He is not thinking about that. And unfortunately, it led to this being a very, very bad situation. Even bad to where, did you hear her say that while he was getting sucked into the machine, she saw the machine suck him in, but then as he was going in, clearly he knew that at this point it was bad. So he waved bye to his wife, knowing that was it. And that right there is going to live with her forever. And it's going to be, that's really that's really sad. And, and I hate that for her. Now, his grandson made a post, about his granddad. And he said, it was a long day at work getting this news. He would hit my mom up, always check on me. when last conversation we were joking because he said my age got him looking old. I would tell him you are old. It was just jokes the whole conversation. So this is Keith McAllister, grandson, just basically paying tribute to his grandfather. And like I said, this whole situation is sad. It's really messed up for the wife, Adrian Jones McAllister. She's gonna need a lot of prayers, a lot of prayers. I don't even want to say over time she can get over this, because to see her husband go out in that manner, strictly on her calling for him to come in, it's just messed up. You know, you wish it just didn't happen. Maybe he could have stopped, or the chain or necklace that he had on, they say it was real big, and she said that he would use that chain for, you know, working out. And she said that he would, you know, he'd been there before with the chain. But okay, being there before with the chain on is a complete different thing than being in an MRI testing room. I mean, I guess you can wear jewelry there, but you need to take that off. Maybe this facility might need to have a practice of that no jewelry allowed in the building, period, to prevent something like this from happening. Because look what the turnout ended up happening in this situation. But then the other question is, did they have someone right there at the door? Did they have someone monitoring? In most situations with machines like that can cause that kind of injury, that can be serious like that, it should have an emergency stop button. So my question is, the technician that came in to try to help the wife pull him out, was there an emergency stop button on the MRI machine that person could have just hit? If it was, maybe that person probably forgot all about training and just panicked and didn't think. But in those moments, you have to think about what you were trained to do and do that. Because if it was an emergency stop button on that machine, then that may be critical in a potential lawsuit in favor of the wife. But y'all get in the comments, tell what y'all think about this whole situation. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share my videos. I'm Gertie Mac. Holla.